In this video, I will tell you about break and join command of AutoCAD. So I'll start with the break tool, and you can find the break tool in the expanded modify panel. So select that arrow to expand the modify panel, and here you will find this, the break tool and break at a point tool. So we have these two break tools. So I'll select the break at a point tool in the first case, and now using this tool you can break any object in two different parts. So in this case we have this line segment, which is completely a single segment. As you can see that when I hover my cursor over this object, the complete segment is selected. Now let's say that we want to break it in two different parts from its midpoint. So for that I'll select the object and now specify the first breakpoint as mentioned on the command line. So let's now click on this midpoint, and now the object is broken into two different parts. So let's select it. And now you'll notice that we have this as a separate segment, and you can obviously move it. So using the break tool, you can break any segment in two different parts. Now let's say that we also want to create a gap in between these segments, just like this. So for that I'll press Ctrl Z so that the object now combines into a single segment, and I'll select the break tool once again. So in this case, instead of selecting the break at a point tool, I'll select this normal break tool. And now once again select the object, and now don't select the second point. The command line is obviously prompting you to select the second breakpoint, but don't select it. Click on this first point option and now specify the first point. So I'll select this one, the point somewhere around this, as the first point, and now I'll select second point somewhere around here. And now you can see that the object has been broken into two parts, and also there is a gap. So let's now press Ctrl Z to get back to the original geometry, and I'll select the break tool once again. So let's select the break tool, and now in this case I'll once again select the object, but in this case you need to select the object in a specific way. So let's say that we want to break this object in such a way that the gap is created of this length. So the gap should be equal to this length, which we have here, approximately equal to this one. So for that, select this object, but make sure that you click at a point which is close to this point. So I'll click somewhere over here, and by this click the object is selected, and also the first point is assigned here. Now you simply need to select the second breakpoint as mentioned on the command line. So now you need to click close to this point. So let's now track it and click here, and here we have it. This way you can create the gap of approximately same size on this segment. So I'll press Ctrl Z. Now I'll select the break tool for this circle. So once again expand it, select the break tool and select the object here. Now we want to break a single quadrant here, and for that I'll select the first point, and now click at this quadrant point, and then click at this quadrant point. Now you can see that this quadrant is removed. So in this way you can use break tool to remove some of the segments from the circle, line, or any other geometry. The opposite of this break tool is obviously the join tool, and using the join tool you can join broken objects into a single entity. So first I'll press Ctrl Z to return this object to its normal shape, and now I'll expand this modify panel and select the join tool. So here we have this join tool. Now select it, and now here we have a gap. In order to fill this gap, we can select the join tool. So click on this point here close to this gap, and click on this line segment close to the gap, and simply press enter. And now the gap has been filled, and also the object is joined as a single entity. But in this case the objects need to be collinear, or they should be on a single line. If the objects were not collinear, the join tool will not work. For example, if I move it a little bit upwards and then I'll try to join it, it won't join the objects. And as you can see that it failed to join these objects. Now for these situations we have a different tool. If you want to blend this gap, you can use the blend curves. So here we have this blend curves. Select the blend curves, and now click close to this endpoint and click close to this point, and the gap has been filled with a spline, about which we have already learned. So in this way you can fill the gap using the blend tool. So let's press Ctrl Z a couple of times, and let's look at this geometry. So now in this case we have this object as completely separate unit. So we have these line segments and we also have this arc here. So all of these objects are completely separate. Now if you want to join them into a single unit, you can do that with the join tool. So once again, expand the modify panel, select the join tool. Now select complete set of objects and press enter. Now click on this object and you'll notice that the complete object is converted into a polyline and it's acting as a single unit. So using join tool, you can join objects which are already connected from end to end. And this was all about the break and join tool of AutoCAD.